Texans win. Jason Bristol, Zack Tawatari here in the KHO11 newsroom as we are breaking down the 7th straight victory for these Houston Texans. This time it's 23-21 over the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, we're always looking for your one word. Check us out on our KHO11 Facebook page. Tell us what you're thinking. What are you thinking after this one?
I just want to be happy, but it's so hard to be happy. Why can't I just be happy? I don't know what it is, Jason.
We, of course, are also waiting to hear from DeMeco Ryans and Stroud from NRG. Before we start taking one word, your one word, let's look at some of the stats. The Raiders, mind you, the Texans were a 14-point favorite in this game, and the Raiders outgained Houston 315 to 270. The Texans didn't get to the red zone until what, the fourth quarter?
Yeah. Didn't get there till the fourth
They were
quarter.
one of two. Oakland, Las Vegas, one of one.
Close enough.
Texans held the ball for 31 minutes, 46 seconds. And the Raiders, 28 minutes, 14 seconds. Penalties, that really was a big difference in this game. Penalties,
It was
9
the
of
difference.
85.
Two of them in
So,
particular.
because of that, I've got my word
Okay,
right
I've
here.
got mine too. I'm
Okay.
not looking.
Do you want to turn them over at the same time?
Yes.
See what we got? Of course, we're looking for your one word. So 3-2-1 gift. Oh, I wrote fortunate.
Christmas theme, you know.
Yeah.
Holiday.
This was
holiday
a gift, huh?
theme. Yeah, it was a gift because as much as those two penalties were
Questionable?
questionable. Yeah, that's a kind way to put it. But timely, I was going to say, for the Texans, they really were questionable. And on top of that, you know, neither of those balls was catchable. So it's a gift because those both end up leading to the drives continuing, and the Raiders had them dead in the rights in both instances.
It's really amazing to me that, and I put this on X, is that you had Ashton Genty, who's had an up, mostly down rookie season, and he runs for $128 on 24 carries, has another 60 yards receiving against the best defense in the NFL.
The Texans came out flat today.
Yep.
They came out flat in pretty much every area. I think that the Raiders' offense was not doing much in the first half at all.
They looked very Texans-ish.
They looked very Texans-ish. Only really continuing drives because they'd have kind of a broken third down play that ended up working out for them, much in the same way that the Texans have done for most of the season, did for most of tonight. So it was really two poor offensive performances going up against each other.
Once again, we are waiting to hear from DeMeco Ryans and Stroud. As you can see in the box next to us, there is the scene, the podium, the microphones from NRG Stadium. When you look at this game, Zach, if the Texans defense doesn't put points on the board, the Texans lose this game.
Yeah, it's
typical.
The Kaimi Fairbairn just, running him out there all the time. It's not that it's not getting points on the board, but it's not effective.
No.
It's not effective to be kicking field goals the entire game and only being able to score in the fourth quarter. It's just not going to work, as you get into the playoffs.
So, once again, we're taking your one word. If you are watching on YouTube, check us out over on our KHO11 Facebook pages. That is the feed that we currently are looking at. Good to see Justin, as always, checking in. I wrote your word down, regression.
It's a good one.
Texans had some regression. I would agree with that. Justin also says, I say defensive pass interferences and the kicker was the Texans' greatest play calls, without a doubt.
No, there's no question. There's no question.
But this defense, the defense is what makes everything possible. still. And as long as they get these kinds of defensive efforts, they will be in every single ball game and will likely be in a game that will be decided typically by 3 points or less.
And come down to the last possession of the game every single time.
And I'm sure we will hear DeMeco Ryans talk about finishing. Like, we were able to finish. We made the plays at the end because that's what they did. In some ways, I thought this game mirrored a little bit like the Tennessee game where they did nothing for three quarters and then
it mirrored
explode in the fourth quarter offensively. Jose's checking in. Good to see you. Steven says, considering you have the Chargers on Saturday. And also looking ahead, we don't know what the injury status now is for Tay Ursery and
Trent Brown. Yeah.
Both were injured in that fourth quarter. That's a big, big problem. If your two tackles...
You can't have Blake Fisher out there playing left tackle. You
Nope.
just can't do it.
Nope.
It's just not going to work. And they're already thin at offensive line. They've been all season. It's been a point of contention in many different weeks, many different games.
Many different ways.
Many different ways. Any combination you put out there. And just when it seems like they're gelling a little bit over the last 3 weeks or so, you have these two injuries that happened tonight. So you just really have to hope again. To Jose's point that you're going into, or to Steven's point, I'm sorry, that you're going into a game with a good Chargers team who's won 4 games in a row where you're going to face another test this season.
Without a doubt. And also, I would imagine, and I don't know what the severity of the injury, Ariante Ursery was a finger. I think typically guys, they just wear those big clubs.
Yeah.
When there's some sort of injury with their hands. So I would guess that of the two, and again, not knowing anything about the severity of the injuries, Ariante Ursery seems more likely to play than Trent Brown. But I mean, we did see Trent Brown walking around, which I think was a good sign. It'll be interesting here to see if DeMeco has any injury news. Typically they don't have anything this close or this near after the game, but we'll see. Richard says, aloha, hope all is well with you. Yes, we are good. Zack just wishes he could be happy, but that's a Texans problem and not necessarily a Richard problem.
You watch this team every week, and it's just like...
It's the same.
It's the same whether they win or lose.
First and foremost, always for me.
And right now, here's DeMeco Ryans smiling.
Glory, honor, and praise to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Just continue to bless us, and guys are doing a great job of just finishing games any type of way that we have to finish. Guys are doing an outstanding job of that. So I'm really proud of our team for the way they battled and won this game. It took a lot from everybody. Really proud. Offense started slow there, but we finished the game, in outstanding fashion right there in a 4-minute mode to milk the clock down and get into victory. That's how you want to see games end. So proud of the guys for doing that.
DeMeco, how important is it to finish games when things may not be going right? And do you think that in the NFL is sustainable?
Everything is about winning. And you win no matter how it looks, and you finish the right way, it doesn't matter. You want to finish with the win. That's what we did today. First, I really got to give credit to the Raiders. Right? This is a really good team, well-coached team. Their defense, they played outstanding. Offense, Genty made some huge plays on us. They got good players, just like everybody does around the league. But this team, they were prepared, just like they were on film all week. We knew this was going to be a tough one going into this game, and they showed up. They played a really, with great effort, they played a great game, and credit to those guys.
Coach, what is one of the reasons why you think that the offense was kind of slow today?
Yeah, the main thing is we couldn't run the football, right? We didn't control the line of scrimmage, how we needed to control the line of scrimmage. They got a lot of negative, not a lot of tackles for losses, right? Knocked us back a few times, and we didn't run the ball well. And on the flip side of that, they were able to run the ball effectively, and that was the difference, in the game. We controlled the line of scrimmage better, Right? We can sustain drives a little bit better to be in better control of the game.
Coach, this is the third time in franchise history that Houston has won 7 straight games. You experienced it in 2011. Have you had a moment to reflect on it personally and what this win streak may mean for yourself and your team, your coaching staff, and your players?
I'm really proud of our team, right, for the adversity we faced at the beginning of the year. A lot of teams could have folded, but our guys didn't. Our guys stayed the course. Our coaches stayed the course. We've adjusted some things, tweaked some things we need to tweak. That's what you have to do, right? When our team has always believed, no matter how it looked at the beginning of the season, they've always believed. And today, when I just showed, if you play the right way, you play with the proper effort, right, you do the things necessary, right, it's just all about getting the win. Really, it doesn't matter how it looks. It's beautiful to get the win. I'm proud of our team for continuing to find ways to win. That's always our goal.
DeMeco, can you talk about the way Nico played today, how he just made big plays when you really needed him, and what that really says about him?
Nico showed up big time for us, and that's who he is. That's the player he is. He's a big-time player, always seeking those big-time moments. They did a great job defensively of trying to take Nico away at times, double him, making sure they had umbrella over top of him. But he still fought, right? We still tried to put the ball up to him. He had caused a couple of pass interferences there, but the biggest play is there at the end, right? To seal the game, the ball goes up to him. For him to make the adjustment, find the ball, and stay in bounds, that's the player that Nico is. So we love Nico for what he provides for our team. He provides the big playability. Even though we know every week teams are going to try to take him away, we can still find him. We can still make plays.
With the win today, this is your third straight year winning at least 10 games to start your coaching career. Just what are your thoughts on that and how you've been able to, kind of came in 2023, each and every single year being able to get at least 10 wins?
For us to be at 10 wins now for the third season in a row, I'm thankful. I'm grateful for. It's not about me, but I'm thankful for my staff, thankful for the players for allowing us to be in the position that we're in. And just getting 10 that's okay, but that's not always the goal. The goal is to get into the playoffs and make a run at winning it all. And if our guys keep our eyes forward, we keep believing, we keep playing, finishing the right way, we have everything we want in front of us.
Coach, outside of those 2 big plays by Genty, how do you feel that your defense played? And can you just talk about the way that Derek Stingley shows up every week?
We challenged our team, our defense, right, to get a turnover in the first quarter that hadn't happened for us all year. And for Sting to show up how he did and get not only a turnover, but to go score. We needed points bad, and Stingley showed up and made a huge play for our team. Like, we needed that play. Stingley did it. Outstanding awareness by him to be able to make that play, not only just pick it off, but to go score. Really proud of him, right? You continue to try him. He continues to make plays. So great play by him. Overall, the defensive performance, there's too many explosive plays. Like that's not what we're about. Like, we got to clean up the communication. The tackling is not good. That's not the defensive performance that we look for. And so we have to play better.
Among the explosive plays that you mentioned, as well as the kind of inefficiency in the first 3 quarters, does that more so concern you, or do you feel like those are kind of one-off things?
I feel like the Raiders are a good defensive unit that they haven't gotten enough credit for how good this unit is. Coach Graham's done a great job of coaching his defense. They're really good players, and we knew it would be a challenge all week, right? And as I tell our guys, there aren't any easy wins in this league just because you look at a team's record. That's not indicative of who that team is. Everybody's going to come out. They're going to play hard. We knew we would be up against a challenge, so it's no surprise. Like, we knew we had to work for the yards. We just got to do a better job of trying to control the line of scrimmage and sustain drives.
DeMeco, I know the goal is to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about having a kicker like Kanimi, who you guys have had to lean on really heavily, when you know you can go to him almost any time?
Wow, I can't say enough about Emi and the comfort level that he provides for our entire team. Like, those aren't tough kicks to make. 2 kicks over 50, 1 at 49, and we needed every single point today. And he's done this, throughout the year to keep us in games when we haven't scored in the red zone like we wanted to score. Right? It sent Emi out. don't have a second guess about sending him out because I'm confident in what he's able to do. And it's just a huge honor for Emi today. Just for him being able to eclipse 1,000 points in his career. He's done an outstanding job, and I'm happy he's on our side, being able to get us the points whenever we can.
Couple more.
Coach, you alluded to the big plays, but however, the Raiders was able to isolate Jennings on your linebacker. I mean, that's just one thing that sometimes that's the way the play is designed. But the tackling and what you alluded to earlier, but I can just see that one play happen because that's just the way, like you mentioned, those are just good players.
Yeah, Genty is a really good player. It showed that today. They didn't run the football well throughout the year. Their numbers would say that, but as I showed the guys all week, Genty, he was able to break a lot of tackles. That's what he's done. You think he's down, you think the play is over, and he's still pulling guys for more yards. So credit to the young man for how he runs the football. Like I like to see how guys run the football. Tough, physical, finishes the right way, and then you put him out and empty, and he's able to make a huge play for them, explosive for a touchdown there. So credit, hats off to Genty. Really good player, has a really bright future in this league, and he's all that, everything that he advertised on film, it is the truth. He's a really good player in our league.
I know offensively overall today it wasn't what you wanted, but what did you think about CJ in the fourth quarter, that 4-minute drive, picking up the third and medium, and then the play to DeMeco so it's basically ice the game. What did you think of this play there? I
thought CJ battled all day, although it wasn't, the best performance offensively. It mattered most. When it mattered most, he made the plays we needed to make to close the game out, and that's all you can ask for in your quarterback. Find a way for us to win the game. And I thought he did a really nice job as well on third downs when they sent a lot of pressure at us. He did a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage, redirecting our protections, and did an outstanding job there. So I'm proud of CJ for how he battled all day.
What did you think about the offensive line performance today? And also Ariante Ursary, he was left on the island a lot, but he had a great performance as well until he exited the game. What did you thought about the performance?
Yeah, we'll look at the film and see, overall how the offensive line did. I thought the protection was good, even though they sent a lot of pressure at us. I thought we picked the pressures up really well. It was just for me, just watching it from the sideline, the run game. We got to create more movement. We got to get a hat on a hat better. Too many guys in the backfield. All right. Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Alabama too. Oh, yeah. They want Alabama to get in.
And there you have it, DeMeco Ryans from NRG Stadium. Lots of takeaways. The biggest ones for me, DeMeco, of course, mentioned finishing, which we kind of knew, and really said that the difference in this game is that the Texans offensively just could not run the football.
And for me, the biggest takeaway is what he's been saying these last couple weeks. He kind of hinted at it in the postgame today. He talked about it when he was asked during the broadcast about this offense. The offense just is not doing enough. They're not scoring enough points. It's not explosive enough. It's just not performing to a high enough standard for helping their defense with this team. I mean, they're just not playing their part. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day.
But of course, that's the way it's been arguably most, if not all, of the season, with a few games here and there.
Yeah, it has been that way the entire season, and it makes you wonder, are they going to be able to figure out enough as they get into the playoffs? Because I think this offense is where it's going to be. That's just my just my belief.
Yeah.
They've gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
But overall, this is who they've been all season. So are you confident as a Texans fan that this is the offense you're going into the playoffs with? Is it good enough? That's just my question to the fans.
And now we're getting a lot of words here coming in. Bonnie, hello, thank you. Nerve-wracking. Steven says disgusting. And this is kind of what you were talking about. Last week everyone was saying Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But they can. Jason says they played too conservative. I don't know.
I don't know if it's conservative or they just can't execute.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big thing. I agree.
I don't know what the plays look like because they don't develop.
Nope.
So it's hard to say that it's conservative. They probably are, but at the same time, we're not really seeing those plays develop. So it's kind of hard to know with busted plays whether they are conservative or whether they are taking chances. But certainly not throwing the ball down the field, which is, I'm guessing, what we're talking about in this instance.
Sure, and again, not having a running game, that really hurts this team in so many different ways, including when it comes to passing the football. Justin also adds, Texans are probably, I guess the honeymoon is already over for Jawar Jordan. I thought he had a long of 12, 3.5 yards a carry.
He had a couple important runs.
Yeah, it wasn't
a couple runs that sustained drives.
Yeah,
you could say.
Listen, the Texans have run worse out there in the past.
Oh yes.
Texans are probably cemented into that wild card spot. Jags are playing too well. Thank you, Justin. You are helping me with that segue. This was not a particularly good Sunday for the Texans on a number of fronts. One, yes, they won, but when you look at, and I know DeMeco, every win is huge in this league and this and that, but I don't know if this win provides a lot of confidence when it comes to the overall feeling about how this offense operates. And number two, how about Jacksonville going into Denver and winning by 2 scores, 34-20?
That's a convincing win.
Yeah.
That's a convincing win right there. And
Trevor Lawrence was 23 of 36, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and he was sacked 5 times, but did not turn the ball over. That's big. Sorry, you might have said something else. I was looking down, so if I interrupted you, I'm sorry about that.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, that the Texans now have had 3 seasons where they've won 10 games in a row. They could win the most games that they've won in the DeMeco Ryans era this year.
With arguably the worst offense the team has had.
That's how good the defense is.
It speaks so much.
That's how good this defense is.
Ken says, guess that trap game is a real thing.
Oh, yeah. It's a real thing.
I've never argued that it wasn't a real thing. Now, DeMeco had a lot of nice things to say about the Raiders.
I do think the Raiders played up today.
Yeah.
Compared to how they've played this season. They certainly played up. But, my goodness, how many times did they let the Texans back in the game? They could have honestly shut the door at any point there in the fourth quarter on multiple occasions, but the penalties, the 2 in particular on that last drive, just killed the Raiders' chances.
Without a doubt. DeMeco saying that, yes, we finished the game. Also mentioned, give credit to the Raiders. It was a great effort by Las Vegas. I think both of us would agree with that. Couldn't run the football. That was the biggest issue. He also mentioned that 10 wins, that's certainly a big thing, and he likes to give credit to the coaching staff. Kaimi, we needed points. Also, this was something, too many explosive plays allowed by the defense, and that actually has kind of become a bit of a thing.
Is this new?
It's not new. That was a bit of a problem. Not a bit. That was a problem last year.
So 3 years it's been a problem.
So this defense is really good, but borderline great. But it does give up explosive plays. And I don't know if it's a discipline thing or the eye discipline thing.
I don't know. I don't know which one of those it is, because it seems like they're especially prone to giving up explosive plays in the running game. And I know that, we were talking about this earlier before we came on air.
Sometimes that's a tackling thing.
It's exactly. And that's what I wonder, this defense, they're so fast and they're so talented that I wonder if maybe they kind of, I'm not saying take their foot off the gas at the end of the game, but maybe they lose sight of that fundamental thing on several plays, and then they break out to be explosives.
Sometimes I think it's also about getting the huge hit.
Yeah, that too.
It's about
yeah.
It's about we see some movement now over at NRG Stadium, which possibly means that CJ Stroud is walking into the room to head to the podium here. Let's see. We can all watch together. Justin says, I assume they rested Woody Marks to save his legs and see what Jordan has. Partially. Woody has been banged up a lot, and I think that this was the smart move to rest him for a really important game against the Chargers. So I think it was more about that than we got to see what Jawar Jordan has.
The Texans are in massive trouble if they're not going to be able to have Woody Marks. So they really, I don't think, had a choice but to rest a guy who was, like Jason said, banged up pretty much for the last, I want to say, 3 or 4 weeks probably. I mean, honestly, especially the last 2, it seemed like he's been banged up.
Yeah.
But they're in big trouble if they don't have Woody Marks going into the playoffs. So I
agree.
think they needed to do that, even if it meant not having their best offense out there on the field today.
Justin says at times they don't have an answer for a team with a good running back. Sometimes it's a good tight end.
Yeah.
Nick, in the run up the middle is how Kaylee loses the game. Be careful telegraphing the opponent. I will give them credit on this, though. When Blake Fisher comes in, the jumbo package, what is it normally?
Run.
It's normally a run.
Right.
And inside the red zone on the touchdown to Dalton Schultz, I believe that was out of the jumbo package, and it was a throw. So give Nick Haley some credit there. Justin says at times the defense is looking for those highlight hits instead of just wrapping the player up, and I agree with that without a doubt.
It's got to be that on those explosive plays at the end of the game. It's got to be.
And running the football, this game, Las Vegas running the football, maybe we're not factoring in the impact of Mario Edwards and Tim Settle being out. Maybe that has a little bit something to do with it as well. But Ashton Genty averaging 5.3 yards a carry. In fact, every running back, and Genty had most of the carries, but Las Vegas averaged 5.4, call it 5.5 yards a touch. And in the NFL, if you get that kind of production, it's usually going to be a good day for your offense.
I like his patience as a running back. You
Genty?
can see him kind of waiting for the whole.
And that was one of the great things about him coming out of college. Everyone raved about his vision.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty shocking that he's been pedestrian thus far as a rookie. But listen, he looked like an all-pro or a Pro Bowler against the best defense in the NFL. So once again, as you can see, we're waiting for C.J. Stroud. Some of the other stats: third down efficiency. Not much to complain about here. The Texans were 7 of 15. Now on a defensive side, Raiders were 6 of 14. Now here's C.J. Stroud. Let's listen in.
What is cool? You ready? Yeah, it's on here.
CJ, I know it isn't the way that you all wanted to win this game today, but how good does it feel just to get that, to keep that winning streak going and get this win today?
Yeah, it was ugly, but the way you want to win in December is winning. Whatever it looks like, however it looks. So, I'm proud of guys for finishing strong. We started off, kind of bad in the first quarter, and then from there kind of rolled. But it starts for me. I just missing some throws here and there, but I think we can get all these things could be fixed. And just got to just keep rolling and continue to get better.
You guys have been clutch often late in games on the back half of your schedule. How does it feel when you know that you can come back on teams if necessary, if things like this happen? Like, how is that confidence, having that confidence?
Yeah, it's part of the game. It's like things are not going to go clean all the time, especially in the NFL. This team has played a lot of playoff teams to the last whistle, to the last play. So we knew that coming in and that they were going to be a good challenge. Like, it was a real good defense, but at the end of the day, like, we look at ourselves, it was the things that we were doing were on us. But, you got to flush those things, and, the next play got to be the best play. I feel like as the game went on, like after the first quarter, I felt like we moved the ball really well. But, yeah, we got to finish in the red zone, finish on third down and, get better on, first and second down on, what we're calling and what we're running, how we're executing. And I think we'll get all these things fixed.
What do you think went into some of those missed throws that you had today?
Maybe just rush my timing, and I'm a confident person. I think I can put it anywhere. So some of them I just should progress. Shouldn't have just forced the ball. But yeah, any throw that I make, I think I can make the throw. I just missed a couple, and that's part of the game.
Can you take me through the final drive? You all had key runs by Gerard, and then you hit the throw on Nico on my email, phenomenal catch too. Can you take me through those plays and maybe what you were thinking during some of those plays and how y'all made them?
Yeah, I just try to go 1-0. They were giving us some zero looks and some pressure looks, so trying to get the mic point right and then go from there. And I thought Nico ran a great route. I thought we handled the zero program pretty decent. But yeah, I think when it's the end of the game, I know where I want to go, and I thought they even try to double him a little bit, like try to run and help, but I felt like he had a good chance to win and made a heck of a catch and to try to give him a chance. So.
Last one back there, if y'all are good.
CJ, back here. Obviously, we know, the end goal is to make it to the Super Bowl, get that ship. But 10 straight seasons, 10 straight, 10 wins in a row for 3 straight seasons. What does that say about the foundation of this team as you continue to make this playoff push?
Yeah, I think, to get 10 wins in 3 years that I've been here is, super cool, and, I think, it's something that's dope. But right now our focus, is getting to the playoffs and going from there. So I think, what DeMeco and, our front office has started here, and to be a part of it has been amazing. And, to be here, I think it was week 2, my rookie year against the Colts. And, there's pretty much I won't say nobody here, but it was not what it is now. To see, it kind of progress to what it is now. And fans to be in it, even though they're booing half of this game. But, to see them even in it, has been cool. So I thought, at the end of the day, to be a part of this team and this organization's program, has been amazing for me.
Last one, John.
Just a quick one, I know you got to go. When you have a defense that plays as well as it does consistently, does that take any pressure off of the offense? Okay, we can just calm down, we can make plays, at all?
I try not to think like that, and I think, if you ask our guys, we're kind of tired of, people, downplaying us, but rightfully so. We haven't put it on tape every game, and I think, we're getting better offensively, and I'm confident as ever in my guys. And it's not always going to be clean, not always going to be easy, but we're going to continue to fight for each other, continue push the envelope. But yeah, our defense is amazing. They're great. Our special teams is great. And I want one day for us, to say our offense is great as well. So I think it's all about the team, all about winning. So thank you guys. All right, guys.
And there is C.J. Stroud. I think the first question or the first answer and the last answer were 2 of the most telling. It was interesting that C.J. talked about how the offense is kind of tired of hearing so much about the defense and how let me rephrase that. More so about how the offense
isn't good, right?
Isn't producing. But then followed that up with, but we haven't put it on tape consistently. And really, that just sums up everything about this offense through 16 weeks.
And he said it was ugly
Yep.
at the beginning of his presser. So, we're not saying anything that isn't what happened in the game. Yes, they won, but it was ugly. Obviously, you want to win. He said the most important the most important way to win in December is to win. He's completely right, but the questions continue about this offense. Are they going to be able to hold up in the playoffs?
When it really matters.
Because ultimately, the goal of this team setting out this season is not to make the playoffs.
It's
not to be a wild card team.
It's not to win 10 games.
It's not to win 10 games.
Everybody's asked about 10 games. It's not to win 10 games.
Not even to win the division. It's to go to a place the franchise has never been, the AFC Championship game.
Without a doubt. I also thought, before we wrap this up, CJ mentioned that he thought they moved the ball better after that first quarter, and I thought to myself, is that really? But then I look here, second quarter, 7 plays, field goal, 11 plays, field goal, end of the half 2 plays. That really doesn't count. And then you look at the third quarter, yes, punt 3 plays, but then 5 plays, field goal. Fourth quarter, 10 plays, touchdown, end of game, 11 plays, 68 yards. So I think that what he said there, how he answered that question, does have merit. They did move the ball better after that first quarter.
They do, but it's followed the same kind of pattern where they're better in the second quarter and the fourth quarter, and they're not good in the first quarter and the third quarter. Last week, was the exception to that, scoring 17 points in the first quarter.
Yep.
But you'd like to see them get off to just somewhat of a better start.
And that's interesting you bring that up, because against a bad team, the Cardinals, the Texans put their throat around those little Redbirds' necks. And they did not do that today against the Raiders.
No.
But a win is a win, so which word? Should we go with this one?
Mine's holiday themed, so.
No, I know, but I'm saying like the
kidding.
word. Okay, listen. Zach wants his word, everybody.
No, I like
regression.
I like regression.
All right.
I like regression from Justin.
All right, Justin.
Giving you a shout out, Justin.
Look at you. All right, everybody. There it is. Christian says bench C.J. Stroud. No, you don't want to do that.
Can't do that.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. He has the quarterback with the highest upside. You don't want to do that. On that note, everybody, thanks for watching. For Zach, I'm Jason. Once again, your final 23-21 as the Texans improve to 10-5, 6-2 at home, and this team is now on its way to a playoff spot. On its way. And give this group a lot of credit, because when you're 0-3, typically in the NFL, you're dead.
That's right.
And this team has found a way. So again, give the Texans plenty of credit there, but as we all know, there's plenty of room for improvement. So once again, your final 23-21. Thanks for watching us. Zach, Jason, till next time, have a great week, everybody.